A heart of gratitude is how I praise. A heart of gratitude. I have to start off like that because that's the thought that I ran upstairs and jumped on this mic. Um, I've been pretty quiet all morning. It's Saturday morning and just taking care of things around the house, but I've been quiet. And I've known that I can't share unless I've been quiet. And I appreciate quiet time because I'm not just going to jump on this mic and share in terms of all the things like, because I'm extremely intentional about listening for the right thing to share and in the order by which it needs to be shared. Now, I've read a whole lot of different things, and you'll hear me quote from or share experiences from things that I've read. Um, read the Bible, which I refer to as the Book of Christ. I'm reading. There's a book called A Course in Miracles that I've been reading for the last 3 years. I've read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho many, many times, given that book away. I've read, and you'll hear me again share experiences from my reading on of the Book of Enoch and the ancient sea scrolls. I'm sharing that to say that I've read a lot of different things. I've taken a lot of different things in, and um, in as much as I've been able to see myself and learn how to see myself in those texts, that's why I share, not from a religious standpoint um, in as much as some folks may um, experience this podcast by way of a religious experience, that is not my intent. My intent is just to share according to as I receive, I share. That's how I grow. That's how I encourage more and more to walk towards the light with me because it's not one person getting there on their own. Um, the thoughts of the light are all encompassing. And so as I share, I'm walking and I'm sharing and I'm walking because that's the only way that I can see that I'm gonna get there, and I'm get there with y'all. I'm get there with listeners, with like-minded folks toward the light. Um, and what I've learned about religion is that it divides. And so this podcast cannot be based in religion. Again, I've said it before in its place. Religion is beautiful in terms of organizing and bringing people together in communities. But the light is so much more vast than religion. We're walking together in as much as some of us may be a little bit further along the way. But again, the closer I get to the light, it's like, wait, I want my brothers and sisters. I want us all. And so, in that, like I started off by saying, good thought, a heart of gratitude is the way that I praise. So I can still consider praising God, right? In as much as I'm not coming from a religious standpoint, because my heart is to praise. And what I've learned in reading and hearing, especially from the text, A Course in Miracles, is that God doesn't have an ego. God doesn't need his ego stroked. And I'm saying his, but love doesn't have an ego. And so what does that mean? That means that there's no need for a lauding to the extent that my laud is only for the invisible, my praise is only for the invisible, and loses sight on my brothers and my sisters right here next to me that could use some encouragement, that could use a smile. If the only time you smile is when you're in the presence of God in a building shut off from the rest of the world, that's not praise. And my offering today is to realize that a heart of gratitude is the way that I praise. I said before that I've learned how to, instead of asking, well, what does that mean? Intellectually, I've asked the question, how does that show up in me? And so the question I put forth today is, how does praise show up in me? It shows up in being a giver. I love to give. And on the bottom of your email, you can put an encryption, or you can put like a phrase. And my phrase at the bottom is attempting to beat God at giving. There's a song that we sang when I was coming up. You can't beat God giving no matter how hard you try. And I remember as a child saying, I'm gonna try to be God given. I know good and well I cannot, but in as much as that's the heart that I have is to give, that is the understanding. That's how I walk. And so, again, the share today is a heart of gratitude is how we praise. We can put our hands up, but God, the Creator love doesn't need your hands going up. Love wants your hands to go out and share. And again, smile, just to be nice. I was on the phone today, and I've been I've been ministering to myself, y'all, about the way that I talk to customer service representatives on the phone. I really have, because I find that it's not nice sometimes, and I'm listening to myself. But it's like, you want to get something done, and you see that you've been treated a certain kind of way, but they didn't do it. The customer service rep didn't do it. So why can't I be nice even in those calls? Listen, I'm talking about me. And again, I'm experiencing this as I'm walking and as I'm sharing. And so, and that's what all the things like is all about. But in that, I had a conversation today with a customer service rep. I ended up sharing with her, I purchased something, and it wasn't for myself. There's a need, and I'm seeing a need, and I'm able to meet a need. And so, in my speaking with her, I shared with her what the intent was, because I'm trying to get the shipping. I want to get free shipping. And so, in as much as I'd already gotten one discount, there's a little ticker that said I'm $30 away from getting free shipping. Now I paid. I'm not going to give a dollar amount, but I've already paid quite a bit. And so $30 away, I'm like, well, shoot. When I add another item, it that was shipped for free, but the bigger items would not ship for free. And so I got her on the phone, and so I'm sharing. And at the end of the call, she said, "Bless you." And it was just a cordial conversation. One of the very first that I've not one of the first, but I'm watching myself, and I'm doing better at interacting with folks by way of, again, being nice and being kind. And so, how does praise show up in me? It showed up in me like that. It showed up in me to be a giver. And it has shown up in terms of sweating out all of my clothes, dancing around in the church. Um, but then what was in me would say, now you again, I got to be nice to the customer service rep. You doing all of that dancing around, brother. Be nice. And so there's an opportunity to really, again, see yourself in this text. I've learned, and as much as I've shared all the texts that you may hear me quote from and read from, I learned at Morehouse. That was where I did my undergrad. I learned how to read the text, um, and I'm gonna say it like this, from an objective point of view and not from a religious point of view. I was in this religious class. There was a religion class, and God knows he's an ordained minister in the church that I grew up in. But to hear the way that he taught the text allowed me for the first time to see myself in the text. And so therefore, it was beyond all religion. It was beyond all the things that religion would have taught. It allowed me to see myself in so far as, wait, this predates religion, this text. And so if this text predates religion, but I'm putting a religious lens over this text, therein lies a separation. Therein lies again a separation. There's a gap between you and the text now, because there's a lens that was never supposed to be there in reading this text, a sacred text, realizing that I too am a writer. When I read one of the scriptures that says the word is inspired by God, I had that thought when I was a little boy, like, wait, if I'm hearing this, then if I'm inspired by God, that means that I'm writing the word. You better know it. If you're inspired by the light, if you're inspired by love to write, that is inspiration of the light. That is inspiration of your creator. And in those moments you become co-creator. And so again, a heart of gratitude is you're co-creating this praise in the way in which we interact with the world. There has to be a difference. There is a difference between the way the light interacts with the world and everything else. So the opportunity as we continue to share is to and someone reached out to me and said, man, you need to enable the comments, let people make comments. And I didn't realize it. It's the first time I put it on YouTube. So I've enabled the comments. Please like, please share, please comment in a way that makes sense that you're led to. Because we're on our way somewhere. I used to say that all the time. And then I would say, we're on our way to oneness. And now I end by saying, let us continue to walk toward the light together. Thank you for listening. Grace.